Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Your Turn with Cliff Woodwards here at WHPR TV, Comcast 91, and we are also on your Roku device now as well. In addition to that, you can catch us if you go to your app store, whether it's the iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. Search for the WHPR Now app, download it to your tablet, your cell phone, or any other mobile device you've got, and you can take us with you along wherever you go. And today might be one of those days that you decide to do that because apparently spring has returned. Now, will it stay? I don't know. We'll just have to hope for the best. But the weather outside this afternoon is wonderful. It's back to what would ordinarily be called normal. And so if you want to step out, make sure you take WHPR along with you wherever you may travel. Just don't watch us while you drive, okay? We don't want to be responsible for any of that, and I really don't want to have to be in court defending this radio station and TV station because you were watching us while you were driving down the road. Nevertheless, we're live in the studio. Today is April 21st. It is Green Day, the day after that other Green Day that somebody who just walked out the studio might celebrate. Yeah, if you enjoyed your April 20th 420 celebration, that's turning into almost a national holiday these days. I don't know whether you inhale or not. I don't care. Medical marijuana. In fact, I probably should talk a little bit about that this afternoon. That can be one of the topics. Is it time to finally just legalize marijuana? There is a ballot initiative that people are collecting signatures for as we speak to make sure that marijuana is now recreationally legal in the state of Michigan. Should Michigan join the other states across the country who have now legalized marijuana for recreational purposes? Is that something that you really want to see here in our state, particularly in the cities of Detroit and Highland Park? I was out in San Francisco this past December, and when you're driving down the streets or the freeways here in Detroit, you can occasionally, especially in the summertime, you can catch a whiff of marijuana as you drive along the street or the freeway, and you can get you a contact high. It's really amazing when it's in the wintertime and everybody's got their windows up and you can still get a contact high. And you wonder, what in the world are they doing in those cars that you can breathe in their marijuana exhaust in the middle of January? But when I was out in San Francisco this past December, because it is legal there recreationally, people are walking up and down the street smoking weed just like people smoke cigarettes here. And it takes some time to get used to that pungent aroma, because unless you are a marijuana smoker, that smoke, the odor of that smoke is not the most pleasurable thing that you want to breathe in as you are strolling down the street on a warm summer day. But what do you think about that? And I'll get to the second topic a little bit later on. But has it come time to legalize marijuana, or should it still be classified as a Schedule I drug? What effect do you think it will have on today's workforce? If it's legal, that is not necessarily to say that companies all of a sudden will stop drug testing employees, because, again, it does affect the mind when a person is high on marijuana. There has been several theories bandied about that is the reason why a number of young black men, black people in general, can't get employment in the city, throughout the city, in this region, because they can't pass a drug test. So we need to just legalize recreational marijuana. That does not mean that private employers are going to suddenly throw away their drug testing policies. But what effect do you think it has? Is it time to legalize marijuana? This coming the day after marijuana holiday on April 20th. 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Let me hear what you have to think. As we start off this show, I want to remind you once again that Your Turn with Cliff Woodards is sponsored by, as always, the Detroit Law Center. For all of your legal needs, give the Detroit Law Center a call, 313-333-4975. For criminal, family, civil, bankruptcy, personal injury, and general practice, give the Detroit Law Center a call. Once again, 313-333-4975. Gotta give a shout out, as I remember this now at the top of the hour, if she is not listening or watching right now. I hope that she is. I stopped in and visited my aunt yesterday, Opal Bridgeforth, who is a devoted watcher of this program, and she's not doing well. God bless her soul. She is 90. She'll soon be 95 this year. And I want to say happy upcoming birthday to you, Opal, and hope you're feeling better. You were a little bit under the weather yesterday, but if you're watching, I just want to make sure that I say good afternoon to you as well. You know, you always got to look out for family, and we're all family here, but she's a special part, a real part of blood. So once again, let's start off this discussion a little bit. This coming after April 20th. Yesterday was the marijuana holiday. Is it time to make recreational marijuana legal in Michigan? 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Let's get this conversation started. Good afternoon. You're on the air. It's Your Turn with Cliff Woodards. Caller, go ahead. Caller. You got one last chance before I go to the next line. Okay, try us again. Good afternoon. You're on the air. It's Your Turn with Cliff Woodards.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you, too.
Yeah, it's time to go ahead and legalize because we need safety. We need to have it regulated so that whatever poisoning that they're putting already in our water and in our food and in our air and everywhere, we need it to be legalized and regulated for so that nobody will have an excuse to say that, oh, it was the marijuana that caused me to crash into your car or to break in your house. And the other criminal excuses that they give you to not legalize it, I believe it will be legal because you got so many other industries that all of a sudden wants to take on this challenge of a business. Monsanto, Bayer, and a number of others are ready to take on another industry for profit. But I think what the throwback is that they don't want to release all these prison planets that's making slave labor, wealth off of slave labor. So for all the benefits that marijuana has, I think they should legalize it and have it regulated like they do your alcohol, your so-called prescription drugs. They're supposed to be safe, but now we're seeing how that's an epidemic that's causing more health problems than anything else, as well as criminal action. So, yeah, I think it's time to legalize it because people need to make better choices and to be safe in their decisions and their purchasing and know that they're not purchasing something that's laced that could take them out or cause me and you to be in the middle of somebody's accident or crime. And you know, if you notice, usually when you make stuff more legalized, crime does go down because it's not that exciting anymore, you know. And the list goes on for reasons why I think they should go ahead and legalize it. Because you know these prison planners are set up for free labor and profit and just constantly criminalize and demonize one group of people while the other group of people get to do whatever they want, whatever they like. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, let me ask you a question before you disappear, though. Now, with legalization of recreational marijuana, do you think that your argument was it will reduce crime? And to a certain extent, I agree with you. I have seen a noticeable drop in the felony cases that come through Wayne County for delivery of marijuana or possession of marijuana because uh, it's widely available at dispensaries right now. Even though whether or not those dispensaries are operating legally themselves is a question for another day. But yeah, certain crimes will go down. If you look at the legalization of alcohol, there's nobody killing each other over a bottle of Hennessy.
Thank you.
However, drunk driving accidents still are significantly way too high. Drunk driving deaths are also exceeding levels. In fact, if one person dies because of a drunk driver, that's too many. But impaired driving can have the same effect. And although alcohol is legal, every last one of us knows someone either in our family or our friends that can't handle alcohol, that is an alcoholic. And of course,
I
there's a
understand.
whole cottage industry that has grown up around alcohol addiction. So, could it be that if we legalize marijuana, we're creating another whole set of addicts in our country?
Well, just like alcohol, uh, anything that you do, whether it's alcohol or weeds and whatever else you're doing, you need to be responsible. You need to take responsibility. So if you out there knowing that you done smoked weed, or knowing that you had one drink too many, you're not being responsible. So I think those people should get pulled over, go to jail, or do whatever. However, you shouldn't be traveling anyway with open bottles and all the open weed and stuff to be concealed and transported, and where you gonna sit down, lay down, and get down like you want to, but you don't need to be driving behind the wheels. I don't need to be smelling your smoke when I'm driving by your car. I don't want no contact. you know. So yeah, with anything, Cliff, you need to be responsible. Responsible smoker, responsible drinker. And if
Okay.
you don't know how to do it, then yeah, you get pulled over, and hopefully none of us will get, in the middle of your mess.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate talking to you this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye. 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. In light of yesterday being America's National Weed Holiday, 420, we're having a conversation about whether or not it is time to legalize recreational marijuana. There are about either 6 or 9. I can't remember what the number is right now without cheating and looking it up. But there are a number of states throughout the country that have legalized recreational marijuana. I think it's 6. Michigan is about to have that on the ballot here. Do you think it's time to legalize marijuana in Michigan for recreational purposes? Or should it remain a prohibited and criminalized drug? What do you think the effects would be if marijuana was legalized for recreational purposes? I opened the show sharing with you my experiences when I was in San Francisco in December with just walking down any city street in downtown San Francisco with weed emanating from everywhere because people are smoking it out in public because it's legal, just like cigarettes. And take my word, if you don't smoke weed, it's not a pleasurable experience. But what are your thoughts? 313-868-4336, 868-0342, 868-0351. Feel free to weigh in on this discussion. Good afternoon. It's your turn on Cliff Woodard's. Caller, you're on the
Hello?
air.
Yes, how you doing?
Good.
My
How are
name's
you?
Watson, and I'm calling. I'm for the green girl. I am 64 years old. I've been smoking my whole life. I'm healthy. I haven't had no run-ins with the house. My driving capability has better. So it all depends how you treat it. Do you smoke, young man?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, that might be a problem if you're not familiar with it. So they got this cookie out here, gelato, they got everything. I got a car at the dispensary.
Okay. Uh, how often do you smoke, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, the way they do it now, they talk about grams, but that's too much for me. So I kind of probably about 5 joints
Per what?
per day,
Really?
just 5 joints.
Okay. Is that a lot or no? I don't know if that's
Not
to
not
me. I
compared
think
to
it's
my
a lot.
grandbaby and them. They got fat food.
Say that again.
I smoke paper still. I'm old fashioned, but I ain't no killer. But don't push me.
Now, let me ask this question: how long does the high last?
Well, it's not necessarily the high. It's I love the taste, baby, and it calms me down. My nerves been real. I've been feeling good. And they got the new stuff, the edibles, where you can eat it. They even got all kind of oils and everything, baby.
Okay. So, in essence, you smoke a joint about once every. Well, you got to sleep. So, if you take out 8 hours for sleeping, that would be down to about 16 hours. Are you retired or do you work?
Oh no, I'm retired.
Okay. So you've
I
got
used to
six.
work for the post office. I did 32 years at the post office.
All right. So 5 joints in about 16 hours. That's about one joint every 3 hours you're smoking.
Yeah, I guess you can estimate it like that. But just like the last thing you said about the jobs and things of that nature. Now, I worked for the post office for 36 years. Now, I have been tested, but I never failed the test. Guess that was the Lord keeping it in my favor. But it has my granddaughter trying to get to the post office, and she get drug tested like once every month. Now, I don't know if it's a sorority thing. I didn't get tested that, but maybe they looking at the case. But that's not right. Nobody is getting pulled over GUI and no marijuana. That alcohol, now that's another story. And they got that violet and all them other drugs and roxys and all, everything. It's not right.
Now,
Marijuana good. It's on the earth.
now, in fact, we having a frank, honest discussion. So I'm glad we are. Let me ask this, and please don't get offended. I ain't trying to be disrespectful, at least to my elders. But if you substituted a joint for a drink of, say, hard liquor, if a person drank a drink of hard liquor every 3 hours, every single day, 7 days a week, wouldn't most people call them?
Baby, that's what you call an alcoholic.
Okay, you beat me to it. So, could I say that you're addicted to weed?
I mean, gotta call a spade for a spade. Now let me ask you this, man.
Okay, and that's a blessing. You which post office did you work out of? Which station?
Right there on Grand River.
Grand
By
River and
Lashes.
near Grand River and what'd you say?
By Lashes.
Oh, okay. My father carried out a Livernois for 40 years.
Oh.
So, all right. That's interesting because you wonder, you were sharing with me your experience with your granddaughter. If they legalize marijuana, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to stop drug testing people. And from what I'm hearing
right, but
now,
in these corporate offices, you got people that been there before the legalization of marijuana, before all these big things, big ideas that they smoke, young man, and they still do their business. They handle their job right.
Oh, that's true. It's
but
prevalent.
For the newcomers coming in for work, they drug test them. They're not gonna drug test people for seniority because they know if they get drugged, they gotta let them go. Usually they gotta fire them. They doing their job. And let them get the pass.
Okay. Well,
As
listen.
soon as we get anything, we get our hands on anything. Just like my other grandson. They in there, they think this lean stuff just hit. They been drinking lean since 50s. They called it moonshine. It
All
ain't
right.
nothing new.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't want to hold you up because you probably, are getting ready to smoke the third one for the
Oh,
day.
I've been smoking the whole time I've been on the phone
I don't
today.
need to
Don't
know
worry
that.
about
I
it.
don't. Maybe we should FaceTime so I can see it the next time. All right. Have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Be blessed.
You too. 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. I really enjoyed listening to her. We're talking about the legalization of marijuana. Yesterday being April 20th, the national holiday for weed. And it's not just smokers anymore. As she mentioned, there's edible products, there's candy, there's oil, there's all sorts of different delivery systems, if I use that word, to make sure that people who want to engage in marijuana consumption can do so. But the question for the day, should marijuana be legalized for recreational purposes? That question may very well be on the ballot in November. What is your position on that? Do you think it is time for Michigan to join the growing number of states throughout the country to support legalized recreational marijuana? Weigh in now at 868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Love to hear from you. Good afternoon. You're on the air. It's your turn with Cliff Woodards.
How you doing, Cliff?
Good. How are you?
I don't think they should legalize nothing because every time you're dealing with drugs, even alcohol is bad too. If they legalize it, the illegal marijuana that they buy now, they're going to put more stuff in there. When the police pull them over, they're going to try to justify the fact, well, I got legalized marijuana. Well, anything that the man upstairs you wasn't born with, you don't need. You don't need that. Same thing with alcohol. Okay, alcohol cause high blood pressure. A lot of people run to alcohol when they got problems. Whatever kind of problem you got, stop using alcohol and weed for the scapegoat. That's all they, because when you sober up, the problem is still there. See, and it hurt our people, but just like you saying, if you get on the job and you're working on a press or a machine and something happens, the first thing they're going to do is send you to the clinic. See, so so even if the marijuana situation passed, us as black folks shouldn't even be don't even be dealing with it. You don't need that. Because 10 years from now, if you smoke a lot of weed, they're gonna find out. Doctors are gonna say, "Well, that comes from you smoking a lot of weed 10 years ago." You don't know what's in that stuff.
Well, that's true, but your argument about God and putting in your bodies, if you remember, Paul counseled Timothy, who had stomach issues, to drink a little wine to settle his stomach. So, at least from the alcohol perspective, there was a medicinal purpose for wine. And then we, of course, had Jesus, who turned water into wine at the wedding in Cana. So,
you see the wine they drunk back in, you can go back 2,500 years ago. The wine that people drunk then wasn't like the wine they got now. When you buy wine in there, you're going to see 5% alcohol. You don't know what's mixed in that now. That's why the certain food is so bad, because they put all that salt in there to preserve it and all that. And they keep up, the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors and all that, they keep up with what you eat. And listen, anything you touch now, you got to watch every move you make, because they got all kind of stuff that's in food that shouldn't even be in there.
that's true. But then the argument then goes back to marijuana is just an herb, which is no different than parsley or I can't think of some other herbs right now. It's escaping my mind. Sage, rosemary. Anyway, it's a natural herb that comes from the ground. And this is what your marijuana smokers will say. So what is wrong with smoking marijuana? when it's a natural plant?
Anytime you smoke something or drink something and you ain't your normal self, that's telling you it ain't no good for you. Same thing when, and I know we're speaking about marijuana instead of drinking, but when a person drinks, his reflex is off. You don't have, that's why when people get mad, say, yeah, oh, that you done brought that liquor out of you now. Same thing with that weed. Oh, I've been smoking a bunch of weed, and that's that weed talking. And it's not, this is my opinion. People do what they want to do. I don't fool with it, and I know it ain't no good for you.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, for calling in and sharing your views. We appreciate it this afternoon.
Thank you, Cliff.
All right. Have a good weekend. We've reached the bottom of the hour. You're watching Your Turn with Cliff Woodards here at WHPR TV 33, broadcasting live from Highland Park, Michigan. You can catch us on our website, too, at TV33WHPR.com. We're also on Comcast 91 throughout Detroit in the region, as well as on your Roku device. But if you want to take us along with you, just head on over to the iTunes Store or your Google Play Store. Search for the WHPR Now app. Download it to your mobile device, whether it's a tablet or a cell phone, and take this show along with all of the other great programming here at WHPR with you on the go. Your Turn with Cliff Woodards, as always, is sponsored by the Detroit Law Center. For all of your legal needs, give the Detroit Law Center a call, 313-333-4975, for all of your criminal, family, bankruptcy, personal injury issues. Give the Detroit Law Center a call, 313-333-4975. We've been talking about the legalization of marijuana for the first hour. I want to transition a little bit, and I do have a slight cold, so I want to make apologies for the sound of my voice a little bit more nasally than it should be. But I wanted to transition to talk what's back in the news again, and I've talked about it on the air here on this program in the past. There's an article in the Free Press today questioning whether or not Project Greenlight is effective. And what do you think about that? 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. What's merged into that is an article by Chastity Pratt Dawsey, one of my dear friends who writes for Bridge magazine. She did an article that was outstanding, talking about, in part, the fact that Detroit police officers are now, their ranks are so thin that there are about 800 officers on the job who have had less than 5 years experience. In addition to that, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, fully half of their staff have less than 3 years experience on the job. Does that concern you as a citizen of Detroit or Wayne County when your safety is at issue? Do you think that Project Greenlight is an efficient use of resources given the fact that we are so short on police officers in the city of Detroit? And then we don't really have enough prosecutors who can effectively prosecute the cases that they have at Wayne County. Does that give you some cause for concern? 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. One of the other factors is some people are saying, well, Greenlight, the high-definition cameras, the 911 calls, you can capture individuals who are responsible after the fact. Yeah, that's true. If you've seen the quality of that camera, you can make out license plates. You can even count the number of mustache hairs on a person's face when they're committing these crimes. But is it a deterrent to the crime? And does it ever stop a crime in process? The upfront costs are about $4,000 for each business, with anywhere from $100 to $300 a month for maintenance. And now there is a push that all late-night establishments should be Greenlight partners. Do you think that this is appropriate, or is this bordering on extortion? 868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Good afternoon. You're on the air. It's your turn with Cliff Woodwards.
Hi, I am a resident of the northeast part of the city of Detroit. And it's funny that this is your topic today because I was just out talking to business owners to see if they would engage themselves in having the green light at their establishment. The upfront cost, we do believe, is expensive. But when we look at the numbers where we're asking people to put their green light program, the crime is extensively high. And if gas stations are places where we want people to feel safe, then we hope they would invest in that project. You know, there is support to help them get the green light up and running. $100 a month seems high, but for those of us who live in a neighborhood and want to have a walkable, sustainable community, or you want to get gas late at night, I think it speaks volumes that there is something that needs to be done. And it's a big investment, but I think it's a worthwhile investment over the course of the program.
But, you know, the data is really inconclusive at this point that it lowers crime. They've done some studies in Milwaukee, in Baltimore. There are other cities. Baltimore has a blue light program similar to this. And the data is inconclusive, even here in Detroit, that in even the reductions that Chief Craig is saying, it was a very interesting article, the reductions in crime that he is saying, well, you know, this is due to Project Greenlight, but violent crime is down throughout Detroit as well as across the United States. And so it's a little bit skeptical, I'll use that word, to attribute any crime drops specifically due to Greenlight. A lot of sites have actually, crime has stayed the same. And I guess what concerns me, and I've said this on this program as well as on my Facebook page, it's not the fact that crime may be falling. I would expect from a program similar to Project Greenlight is that crime no longer exists, because the whole goal of the program is that people are monitoring crime, monitoring these particular locations. And the article points out that even now, all of those locations are not monitored by a set of human eyeballs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So what happens is you run your business right now. Say, for instance, you're running a flower shop or whatever, and your flower shop is wired to Project Greenlight, and I come in and rob you. Now, your location may or may not be monitored at the time I'm in there holding up your establishment, but you call 911, and because you're a Project Greenlight person, there's some talk about you get a little higher priority, wink, wink. But
Right.
then they can roll that tape back and then see me at your store committing the crime. But me personally, what I would want from my $4,000 investment up front and then my $300 a month bill afterwards, I want the crime not to occur at all. Or if it does, I want the popo to get there before the perpetrator leaves.
I can agree with that. But as a resident who lives within the neighborhood where these green lights are, preferably the residents wanted those cameras down in the community, because we're the ones that are victims, more so than the business owners. But they chose to do the businesses as opposed to putting the cameras down in the community, because we were following the Baltimore model.
Right.
That this was 7 years ago or longer. when we were proposing this for the communities, and then the new chief decided to do businesses as opposed gas stations as opposed to investing in the residential part of our community, who we feel more impacted. But the crime is high in the areas where they are pushing to put those cameras within any community. So it's a wager, and you don't really know. I don't think it's been in force long enough for us to really know if the numbers are really working.
Let me ask you this: who would pay for it if it were put in the community?
Well, it's a grant writing process that we'd have to do. The federal government had invested in the Baltimore area, and was something that we were trying to bring to Detroit because we had some connections, and they were doing some training, and grassroots organizations could apply for grants to do that in your neighborhood.
All right, so it wouldn't come from the taxpayers or the homeowners' pockets per se.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
So somebody always has to pay.
Exactly.
But it was a partnership.
I'd be wondering who would have
businesses and community, not just the business owner taking all that expense.
You know, because I would be curious as to who would get stuck with the bill after the grant funding ran out. And would it be similar to, you know, how Rosedale Park and Palmer Woods have private security in those neighborhoods where the homeowners association, you know, kicks in a monthly fee to have that extra private patrols through their areas?
Right.
Would that then be the end result of, you think, the homeowners having to pay for lights in the community, green lights in the community, if it got to that?
I would think that it would be an investment on the residents' part. What we've done now is we have neighborhood watches, and it is the homeowners that live there that use their cars, and sometimes they get gas reimbursement, sometimes they don't. So how safe do you want it?
Yeah, that's true. And that was another concern, too, in that study, is that people who are victims of crime get to the point where they're willing to trade certain civil liberties in order to feel and or be safe. What I mean by that is, you know, there are all sorts of constitutional concerns with your face being captured, because when you go to the crime center and you look at some of that footage and what they can do with it, not only can they determine what your license plate is, but they can recognize your face through facial recognition software. They then can match that face to the driver's license and state ID database, and then determine whether or not you have any outstanding traffic tickets or warrants, and then they can send somebody to scoop you up right off the street.
True.
So,
thanks for taking my call.
Thank you so much. I appreciate sharing your views as well and having this discussion.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. If you want to weigh in on the discussion for today, we were talking in the second half hour about Project Greenlight and whether or not you think it is an effective deterrent against crime. There has been an extended push to have businesses sign up for this project. The upfront fee is about $4,000. The monthly fee can range anywhere from $150 to $300 per month to have those cameras in your place of business. Chief Craig initially said that it was to deter crime, or actually he said it is to catch criminals in the act. Then he said it was to deter crime. And then finally he's also said, well, it will help us apprehend the perpetrator after the crime has been committed. What are your thoughts on that? 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Good afternoon. You're on the air. It's your turn with Cliff Woodwards.
Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm sorry.
How are you? Don't worry about it. We're still here.
I am weighing in on this topic.
Sure.
Because I feel that a criminal does not care about a red, yellow, or green light. They will smile at the camera, wave, and do their crime, willing to do the time, and go on to the next victim.
It's so funny that you said they don't care about.
You are safe.
Huh? It's so funny that you said about red, yellow, or green because on my way here to the station, I got off at the Woodward exit on Davison, and I'm sitting there at the light, and to my left, a car was sitting at the red light. He looked both ways along Woodward, southbound and northbound, saw no cars coming, and just turned left onto Woodward going northbound on a red light. And I'm like, really? You know, you see that a lot, you know, throughout the city where people are allegedly scared to sit at a red light when it's dark. But now these people have become so brazen that they just pull up to a red light and treat it like it's a four-way stop. And he ran that light, and you know where he was going? To the liquor store right there on the corner of Woodward and Davison across from Wendy's.
That's awful.
I just... So, yeah, if we have become a city of individuals that do dumb things like that, I agree with you that a green light, excuse me, a green light is not going to be the deterrent that people think it is. If an individual really wants to commit a crime, they're going to do it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you for taking my call.
All right. Have a great afternoon. 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. What do you think about Project Greenlight? Is it a good idea? Should individuals... And one of the other things that caught my attention, too, when I read this story, is how would you like to be a business owner? Because this has happened in a couple of locations throughout the city, that something has occurred, a crime has occurred that has become newsworthy, and the community then comes out and marches and protests around the business owner's gas station or store, imploring him, shaming him, and almost essentially threatening him into signing up with Project Greenlight. Do you think that business owners should be accosted to the point where they are extorted to join Project Greenlight? Is that right? Shouldn't it be an option for business owners to make that decision if they choose to? And what is the responsibility of the community? Is it really to march and protest in front of that business? Or would it be better if you feel like the business is not safe, just don't go there anymore? Wouldn't that be a better, effective use of people's time, is to stop patronizing a store in which they feel unsafe? 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Let me know what you think about Project Greenlight, as well as the fact that Detroit police officers, over half of the department now has less than 5 years experience. Wayne County prosecutors, half of that department has less than 3 years experience. I'll be giving my rant about that towards the end of the program, but do you think that has an impact upon our daily lives when we go about work, play, and what's the third one? Socialize in the city of Detroit? Once again, 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Let's get back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. It's your turn with Cliff Woodards.
Happy Saturday again.
Hey.
Listen, first of all, if you got a business and I'm afraid to come to it because of too much crime in my community, then if I want to keep my business, I better hire me some security, like Dan Gilbert and the rest of the downtown developers and the casinos that seem to use our tax dollars to protect and serve their businesses. So if you're going to have one in a crime-struck area, and you just said that the police force is lacking enough experience and probably lacking staff, then if you want to stay in business, I think you better get your own security, because nobody should be patronizing or going to a venue, store, event, or anything else if they have to fear for their safety. So common sense to me, for a business person that want to stay in business, they get some security up in there.
Well,
protect your patrons.
Well,
respect the community. community that you taking the dollars from.
Well,
Do something.
one of the things
If you
that's
want to take our dollars, you need to earn that business and earn our dollars by respecting the community enough to look out for our safety as well. Because it's either that or you going to be strapped for cash like the rest of us. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Well, one of the things too is a question of where those cameras, the database or the storage rests for those cameras. Is it really necessary for those live feeds to go into the crime center downtown? Because that is in essence what the $150 to $300 a month goes to, is for that 24/7 monitoring that really doesn't exist for every business 24/7. Is there anything wrong with essentially having that footage remain locally at the business? In fact, one of my friends who was a former prosecutor said on my Facebook page earlier today is that maybe it's cheaper just to go buy an actual green light and put it up and have people think that you are a member of Green Light. Now, there's nothing wrong, and I think it might be just as practical, is to buy your own high-definition security system with cameras, which is a lot cheaper than $4,000. Install that and have your footage remain at your place of business. Because tell you what happens. When a crime is committed in a location that has cameras but they're not a part of Project Greenlight, the police will immediately respond and then take a copy, if not the original footage, from that particular business. They will download that footage and then make it available as part of their investigation. So the footage is still used as part of the criminal investigation, but until such time as I see hard numbers that show that Project Greenlight is catching criminals in the act, or the police are able to ride up, or that there's data, and I don't know how you get this in terms of deterrence without interviewing a bunch of would-be criminals and having them tell you, yeah, I was going to hit that gas station at Greenfield and Schoolcraft, that Valero at Greenfield and Schoolcraft, but I changed my mind because they are part of Greenlight now. And I don't think you'll ever get that. So there's no way really to prove that a green light at that location deterred crime for the next 6 months. 868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Good afternoon. You're on the air. It's your turn with Cliff Woodwards.
Okay, I'm not trying to get completely off the subject, but even though there are green lights there, what I find is if a place is filthy and it looks like an alleyway, you have no business driving up into it in the first place. You should go on. Cleanliness begins with the individual, and you should be cleaning your own community, as well as all the I want to buy your house signs. Pick them up, throw them out. Take them off the poles, throw them away. Mm-hmm. Cleanliness begins with it's your neighborhood, clean it up. Starts with you. And you have to be cautious no matter where you go.
And I guess the
Don't
problem...
anticipate that because you're in one community that something cannot happen to you. You're wrong.
Well,
thank
you. But one of the things, too, though, is a lot of the gas stations and some of these other establishments may be owned, and I'll say this very diplomatically, but they may be owned by individuals who don't live within our community and thus are not necessarily invested in making their place of business attractive, if you know what I mean.
I understand.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for calling, and I appreciate hearing what you had to say.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have a good one. Good afternoon. You're on the air. It's your turn with Cliff Woodwards.
Good afternoon, Mr. Woodard.
Good afternoon, my brother Tom Wilson.
That's not a compliment.
What you say?
That's not a compliment.
That's not a. Oh, did I mistake who this was?
You got it.
I'm sorry. Who is this?
The brother from the 60s.
Brother from the '60s.
Yes.
Well, okay, and I see why you're saying that because Tom is a little bit older than that.
I don't know. But at any rate, the reason I call is the topic that you have today somewhat reminds me of one of your listeners about 3 weeks ago who brought up to you the comment by Ben Franklin about giving up your rights for security.
Right, I remember.
Doesn't that somewhat put us where we are today?
Yes.
The necessity for the green light would not be there if the brothers and the sisters who have the masters and the PhD still lived in the neighborhood, because then the politicians downtown would pay attention to what the people in the neighborhood were saying was a priority to them.
You're absolutely right.
My man, you have a nice day.
You too, and sorry
Yes,
about
sir.
that. Thank you. Bye-bye. You know, before we get out of here, I need to share with you some thoughts on the lack of experience can lead to an abundance of concerns. Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy and DPD Chief James Craig are among the nation's best law enforcement officials. They both are doing an outstanding job, especially given their limited resources. However, some things are beyond even their pay grade, like funding. An incredible amount of law enforcement institutional knowledge has recently vanished through retirements. Personnel are also transferring to other communities that their job offers with higher pay and better benefits. According to a recent article in Bridge magazine by my friend Chastity Pratt Dawsey, almost half of the DPD has less than 5 years' experience on the job. Combine that fact with the realization that half of Wayne County assistant prosecutors have less than 3 years' experience. This can result in, at best, unintended consequences and, at worst, devastating outcomes. Some of the prosecutors in the warrant division are so new that they are virtually signing warrants for crimes that were committed before they passed the bar. Often, the resulting complaint is overcharged, thus the defendant has to post a higher bond if he or she can post at all. Eventually, when the case does reach a courtroom, the charges are corrected by a more seasoned prosecutor to what they should have been in the first place. Meanwhile, the defendant is frequently locked up during this process, costing the county unnecessarily jail expenses. If the defendant was employed at the time of the arrest, he or she may find themselves out of work by the time the case comes to court. On the street, new police officers now rarely are paired with grizzled veterans who can guide and instruct them as well as assist them in getting to know the neighborhoods they serve. Because of person power shortages within DPD, an academy graduate can move out of street patrol and into the semi-elite special operations unit after only 180 days. Many community activists are questioning whether this lack of experience has led to complaints of excessive force. Defendants tell stories of being assaulted during drug raids, and officers have whispered that inexperience may have played a factor in the recent and tragic deaths of 2 of their colleagues. The highest honor and recognition should be bestowed upon Chief Craig and Prosecutor Worthy, along with the dedicated men and women of law enforcement who remain and stay committed each day to making the city and county safe places to live, work, and play. However, much remains to be done, particularly at the state level, to ensure that resources are adequately and fairly distributed so that each community has an equal opportunity. There, I said it. That's about all the time that we have. That hour always goes fast when I have wonderful participation, as I had today, with each and every one of you, because without your calls, comments, suggestions, thoughts, opinions, and or criticism, it wouldn't be your turn with Cliff Woodwards. I want to thank, as always, my producer, R.J. Watkins Jr., who helps me to bring this program to you each and every Saturday in his outstanding and unique way. Also have to give a shout-out and recognition to R.J. Watkins Sr., because without him and his permission, I wouldn't be able to sit here each Saturday anyway. So I want to thank you all for that. I'll see you back here in this chair once again next Saturday at 1 o'clock. As I always say, if the good Lord is willing and the creek don't rise. That's a wrap on RJ. Take us on out of here.